Heyo! Welcome to another episode of the Best Friends Discuss podcast. I'm your host Mike with my co-host
Brad.
and it's been a while, Brad, since we've recorded podcasts. Not show the fourth wall here.
I don't think you understand the fourth wall.
Breaking the fourth wall here. We don't like record like once every day. You know, we get together on like a Saturday and then we kind of record like 17 of these. So we kind of, it's been a while since we recorded, and we are really excited to record. So the intro in this was way better in our first test cut. So. But we had a little mic issue, so
Yeah, we didn't want to blow out people's eardrums.
yeah. But we had
probably best.
we had a way better intro. I'm just saying.
I mean, that's up to you, Mr. Public Knowledge.
Hell, what do you mean public knowledge? Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care.
I know you don't. I know you don't. What are you gonna do? Get doxxed? If you really want to know, Mike's phone number is.
You know what? Any damage you do to my life, I can equally do to your life. So that's where it's nice that we
I don't
have
think
that.
you can, because we just had this conversation with Dane, and you don't seem to give up information unless they explicitly ask for it. I, on the other hand, don't care.
Yeah, but you have. Anyway, you know what?
My people skills.
Yeah. So we're recording quite a bit of podcasts today, and eventually later. And one of the things, since we couldn't record last week or the week before that, I've kind of had a bunch of questions going around in my head that I've just been like, oh, those would be fun to ask Brad and see what he thinks. And I made the mistake of never writing any of these questions down. And so like for 3 days straight, I had other questions that just kept coming up, and I wrote those ones down. So I guess we can answer those questions, Brad. I was coming up with some really like serious ones, but also like some really goofy ones. Kind of like the one that your daughter asked you. Do you want to repeat that one?
Because it is an amazing question.
Such a good question.
I was so impressed.
Yeah, no, it was a good question.
It's a proud moment as a dad.
As a father.
As a father.
Don't know what that's like.
We know. Sorry, buddy. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So we were sitting in the car, and she asked me if there were two animals that you could put together. What two animals would you put together? Which I think we had talked about this one time before. But
maybe. Where's the fucking... There it is. Huh?
She, as I was thinking, said she wanted a porcupine and an octopus put together. And I was like, that just sounds super weird. Until her answer, which shocked the hell out of me, was then you would have a living tattoo machine with you. And that is genius. Genius.
That was like, it's almost one of those moments where you're like, where are you going with this? And then it hits you and you're like, God damn, that's genius. That's such a smart thing. So
like Gage would love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Gage,
it would save him so much money.
That's his Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like if he were to make a Pokemon, that would be it. So I had a bunch of those questions kind of floating through my head, and then I had serious questions, and then I had some fucking ridiculous questions, which I told you one of them, and I was expecting more of a response from you or like laughter or something, but you just were silent, and so I don't know how you feel about it. But the question was, do you think Hitler's mustache will ever like come back into fashion? But so then you said nothing, and I was thinking, it's not really even Hitler's mustache. Charlie Chaplin did it before Hitler. So do you think Charlie Chaplin's mustache will come back in fashion?
No.
Michael Jordan tried it. Michael Jordan tried to get that mustache back.
No. No, I don't even think he even really tried to get that mustache back. That was just a bad accident with a razor.
Yeah. And then he just forgot. So, but
He was running late for something.
yeah. I have a press conference I need to go to.
Yeah.
Ooh. So yeah, so it was just ridiculous questions like that. I also asked you to come up with some questions to ask me, or like because I hope you know I'm going to be answering these questions that I'm going to ask you. So, but I just asked you if you did, and you're like, nope.
No.
So we'll see how this goes, I guess. But I do have some actually
Expect me to be prepared.
yeah, how dare I? As the one who is like, oh, I'm not going to tell anyone what we're going to record on this podcast. I'm the only one that knows. I actually gave you prep time, and what did you do with that? You didn't do anything.
No, I didn't.
So
why would I do that?
So I guess we'll just kind of go with how it is, and either either you can ask me questions at whenever, like it's not going to be a back and forth, like I go, you go, I go, you go. You could just interject with anything that you think of. If not, we'll just go through all of the questions I have written down. So the first one, do you have an order you want me to go in?
No, I don't. Well, how am I supposed to know your order for your questions?
You know what? That's a good question. Question number 2. Would you rather be a cowboy or a pirate? Like, would you rather be in the scenario of being a cowboy in the Midwest or Wild West, or be a
Wild West?
Stop it. Or be a pirate at seas back in that era, back in the 1700s?
I think it'd have to be a pirate.
Really?
Who the hell wants to be a cowboy?
I mean, it depends. People who get seasick, I would say, would want to be a cowboy over.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure if you're born into like that era and that's your only way of travel, it's quite probably not as much. Plus, it's not like now where you're like on a speedboat or whatever else. It's a wee bit more of a slower voyage.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I would say being a pirate, you would have harder work, like raising the topsails and you know, stuff like that, raising the anchor, because it's not automatic. You have to physically do that. But with being a like a cowboy, like, by the way, I didn't give you like specifications of like, are you the captain, are you the quartermaster,
No.
you know, are you a bounty hunter, are you a bar saloon owner, you know, that kind of thing. I didn't give you that kind of stuff. But I kind of wonder, Brad, wouldn't it be a little bit colder at seas than it would be on land?
Well, it depends on where you're at in sea, honestly.
You're right.
If you're in the Caribbean, probably not.
Yeah, but you would have colder nights, and you hate the cold.
Yeah. Cold at night, even as a cowboy, is probably not going to be that warm either.
But then again...
But here, counterpoint.
Your salty personality would go great with the sea salt.
You're right about that. Not only that, counterpoint here. So much better names as a pirate. 100% better.
Yeah?
It's like, I'm Bronco Bill or Blackbeard. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, I can see that. I was just curious on your answer because I was watching a pirate show, and I just had the thought of like, would you rather be a pirate or would you rather be a fucking Wild West cowboy?
I'd rather see more shit too.
Yeah.
Like different islands, instead of riding your horse for 5 days and just seeing sagebrush. Nope, rather not.
Opposed to being on a boat and only seeing water for 3 days.
It depends on where you're at, though.
You're right about
Once
that.
again,
but then again,
in the Caribbean, it's not as far. And honestly, if you're a pirate, you're going to be closer to land because you want to be able to pillage other ships, get their stuff, and head back. You don't want to be out in the middle of the goddamn ocean forever.
Right. I'm just saying, like, while I was watching the show, there was a lot of time that it was just open open water. That was
Yeah.
actually a plot point in the thing was they they went into a storm, and they after the storm they never got wind, and so they just were deserted on a boat with no wind pushing the sails, and so they were like running out of food and water, and then they found a whale, and they swam up to the whale in a boat, and they were like, oh, this thing is dead, and then they found sharks, and so they speared 2 sharks and pulled it up. It was awesome. It was cool. But so pirate for you, right?
Pirate.
All right. I would probably say a pirate too, but I would absolutely hate to be like a lower end pirate. Like if I had to be a pirate, it would definitely be either captain or quartermaster or second mate kind of thing. I could not deal with being the cook or fucking just the guy who stays up on the mast as a lookout. Like I would hate that. But then again, also if I was a cowboy, it would be like bounty hunter or just like sheriff, deputy, that kind of thing. So
More than likely, you'd just be a farmer.
yeah,
Looking back in the era, that's all you'd really be.
yeah, until my family dies, and then I rise up for vengeance.
Or you die of diphtheria.
Yeah, probably that, honestly. So, all right, do you have a question for me, or should I move on? All right, cool. I feel like this is going to be a lot one-sided. What's a supervillain you want to fight? And I actually have this as a 2-part question. What's a supervillain you want to fight? Also, what's a superhero you would want to fight? Now,
Like as me by myself?
no. Like say you were top of the line superhero. Like we're not gonna say like you have this power, that you have this power. Like just say you are a superhero. Who is the one villain you want to fight, and also counter it?
Oof.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, and you could either choose a super easy superhero or villain to fight, like fucking Polka Dot Man or Condiment King or something like that. Yeah, that's a real villain. That's a Batman villain, by the way. So you could like choose someone easy to fight, or if you wanted to truly have like the challenge of like fighting like Victor Von Doom or something like that. Like I was curious, who would you want to face?
I mean, I don't know. That is a super hard question.
I like off the bat, I would kind of want to say like I would want to fight like someone like Superman or Shazam, or someone who is like a powerhouse. Now I'm not saying like in this fight you will win, but if I fought Superman and I won, I would be like the top tier supervillain that all others would fear me, you know?
Yeah.
But then again, I also know my capabilities, so Condiment King, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, I think it depends on like if or what powers I would have.
Yeah.
Because if I was like Superman God level, I'm fighting like another Superman or Shazam. Like I'm fighting top tier. I'm taking him on.
Yeah, like you're attacking Hyperion or
flat out.
Thor.
Yeah. But if I don't have very many power... How dare you, dog? If I don't have very many powers, then I'm just honestly looking for that one guy I can make fun of.
like Mothman?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You know? Something,
Piper?
Either that or like something that you can just use a separate ability on just to like just normal knowledge to destroy them, and then just be like, science, bitch. You know? Like
you make like a TV show out of.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? There's a Marvel comic called The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
You really haven't?
No.
Um, she honestly kind of pisses me off because I don't know why she is like, I don't know if it's part of her powers that makes her unbeatable, but she's called Squirrel Girl. She is fast, strong, and can communicate with squirrels. She is one of the people that have beaten Thanos. And I say that, but it's one of those things where it's like it was just written in the story that she beat Thanos. But like, if you really think about it, there's no way she could fucking beat Thanos. Like, Thanos has taken on the Hulk, and Hulk is one of them that has beaten Thanos before, but it took like all of his strength through. But she is just a girl in like a spandex suit that fucking like, I don't know why she was able to beat that person. But it's one of those things that like, as a villain, could you go and try to defeat the unbeatable Squirrel Girl? Like, that would, like, she should have her own TV show. Like, can you beat me?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like as a villain, I would, like you said, depending on your power set, I would hope for to going up against like the meanest superhero you can find, because if you can top that, then you fucking top anyone, right?
Yeah.
As a superhero, I would love to go against just a ragtag supervillain. Like,
so I think it also depends on what I'm going for. Like, am I going for respect in that? Because if I'm going for respect
or infamy,
like as a villain, I'm taking out Superman or like Shazam. I'm taking out the powerhouse, because then once again, you are top dog. No one will challenge you at that point, or very less so.
Yeah.
Like, you're only going to get the egotists that think they can take you on, and not like the low guy that's like, well, I'm good at what I do, but I can't take out Superman.
Yeah.
On the flip side, as a superhero, I kind of want to take out weak sauce. Like, I want to take out the lowest, because that ensures me work constantly.
Like,
oh, look, he's strong. He can take out, this guy, but he can't take me out. And then they come, and you can just continually just keep taking them out. Like, take out the weakest, so you ensure that you have jobs. Because if you just take out, like, all of a sudden you appear, and then you take out Darkseid, and it's like, okay, great. Now nobody wants to challenge me.
Well, that or like you take out Darkseid or Thanos or someone like that, and then anytime there's a big bad guy like Galactus shows up, and they're just like, your turn, and you're just like, I don't want to fucking fight that. Are you fucking kidding me? No. Like, no, thank you. I dealt with Darkseid. You guys can fucking fight Galactus. I don't fucking, I'm out of this. I'm gonna go fight a weather wizard.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. Like, in a way, as a superhero, I would want to fight less lethal or less of the supervillains. But as a supervillain, I want to fight the fucking top dog supervillain or superhero.
Absolutely.
It's weird. So, but yeah. So I just, as often as we say that you're the supervillain and I'm the superhero, like, that's our, like, the great dynamic. It's funny that we think alike on that. Where we're just like, yeah, we want to fuck up some fucking supervillains.
But with no powers, like, if I had no powers, I got to pick off who I can beat with science. So, like, number one for me is probably, like, Sandman. I got to take his ass out using nothing but, like, flamethrowers or, like, heat to turn him to glass. Yeah. Right?
And with Mr. Fantastic, you just need to fight him in a cold room.
Yeah, like, you got to start using science.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I could not fight Batman. Like, fuck that. No, I can't fight Batman. But also, then again, I can't fight Superman or Captain America.
I mean, I could fight Batman. I'm just honestly gonna wait till I see him enter his house. I'm gonna shoot him with a fucking, like, cruise missile. Like,
no, man, he has a contingency.
Science.
Fucking Iron Man shows up and you just EMP his ass.
Yeah.
But then again, you, Brad, just has an EMP lying around. Like, no, I don't think so. But
but you'd Ocean's 11 that shit out of a friggin' university. That's how you do that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. but yeah, I just thought it was like, you couldn't face someone like Wolverine.
No.
Like Wolverine,
especially, like, no powers. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, same thing with powers. Like if you were a supervillain, like Wolverine would be a tough son of a bitch to fucking fight. But then
So
again, Magneto, you just
Wolverine,
fucking
Wolverine is hard unless you have depending on your superpowers. So like Magneto, yeah, you just destroy him. You just like and skeleton outside body, like you're done. But if you're like Superman, Wolverine's easy. Just take him to space.
yeah, yeah. I guess they really haven't talked about it in comics if he can survive by drowning or survive outer space. Like if you just keep him in outer space for like 2 years and then bring him down.
Even if he could survive,
Does
it's like it's basically you're putting him in eternal torment. Like
Yeah.
his body is basically just trying to regenerate cells like to where he can basically breathe, but he can't breathe. Like, you're just putting him in eternal pain. That's
Yeah.
all you're doing by leaving him in space.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But it is one of those things that I don't think they've brought up in comic books. Like,
Yeah.
because I've also thought in comic books with the whole like Magneto thing of like ripping his skeleton out of his body. Like, once you do that, does he regenerate his skin from his body? So then again, you're just it's just more of the torment and the pain of ripping his skin from his bones and like his muscles, and he just eventually will have to regrow all of that, or is he just dead?
I think he's just dead
Really?
because
Huh.
I think it's too fast.
Oh, because of like he's like going in shock because of the pain kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Well, not only that, but like you're ripping out his skeleton. I'm pretty sure everything gives him his power is honestly through his brain. So he
Right.
would have to regenerate instead bones. I think it's too much of a shock factor.
But his brain is in his skull that is protected because it's in his skull, in his metal skull. So it's not like it's not like Magneto can pull his brain
Yeah,
out.
but it's not like an enclosed feature. It's gonna like you're gonna pull half the brain out.
Do you? I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. Also, can he regrow eyes? I don't even know.
I would think so. Why
I mean,
not? Why not?
there was a cool thing in the comics where he had an eye patch for a long while.
That's just because it looks cool.
You're right. It does look. If there's one thing I know about pirates, superheroes, and anything else, it's eye patches are cool.
Yeah.
So, all right. Next question then.
Yeah.
What's a piece of technology you can, or you cannot live without? So, a two-parter question. What's a technology you can live without, and what's a technology you cannot live without?
I'd say easiest one I can live without phones.
That's fair.
Especially since especially cell phones. Like I grew up in the era of just we had a phone on the wall. Like that's fine. Like I could easily go back to not having that.
Yeah.
I think with technology you can't live without, I think you got to go simple. I think simple is worse.
Toaster.
No.
Oh.
Like indoor plumbing.
Oh, that's.
Like you technically can live without it, but that is
Yeah.
not something I want to do.
I guess that's not where my brain went for technology. I guess my technology, like I would say, like I feel like the internet you can't live without.
Yeah, I could live without it. I mean, it would suck more, but
It would
you
s-
could live without it.
It would suck more, but there would be several things that you would live without. You would live, I guess not necessarily like live without, like you can't access this whatever you do, but like music, like here's music. If you didn't have internet, music would go down to like here.
I don't think it would. Honestly,
would
you'd
just
probably
have to
bounce
buy
up higher. Think of like CD era.
Well, that's the thing. You would just have to live off of CDs. You couldn't buy music off of like iTunes. You couldn't stream music.
Yeah, but I think that's destroyed music more than it's done anything
Oh,
else.
it
Most
absolutely
technology, most internet technologies has actually destroyed more things than
it's
actually
made it
built
more
up.
accessible. That's the thing. So that's why I'm saying like it's going down. Like if I wanted to listen to a new song, I would have to get in my car and go to a store and buy that new song. Actually, if I only wanted one song, I would have to buy the whole CD. And then, you know,
Man, they had singles out there.
yeah, they had singles. I mean, you have records on singles and stuff, but still, like, but what happens if it's that one song that isn't a single? because not all singles. It's not like they separated all.
I
of
get
the
it,
stuff.
but at the same time, that's how you used to learn to love a band.
You're right.
Now
about that,
you
yeah.
only buy that single song, and then you give two shits about the rest they do, and you actually don't learn to appreciate most of them. I know a ton of people that they just buy one song or whatever, and they don't actually learn more about that artist.
You're right.
I would not like Metallica as much
Yeah.
if it wasn't for the fact that I went out and bought more CDs.
Yeah, but for me, I would. It's not that I wouldn't like Queen as much, but then again, like I remember, like I bought a bunch of Queen CDs and then off of iTunes, and then iTunes was like, "Hey, we're shutting down iTunes, and you can't buy any of our music," which still hasn't happened. Weirdly enough, I thought it was supposed to happen like last year, but so I panicked and I bought all of the CDs. Like I own every single Queen CD that. There's one that I didn't get, which was the Flash Gordon CD, but that's like I could just watch the movie at that point. But I'm just saying it's more accessible. I guess that's my argument. Is it's more accessible, that it would go from here in accessibility down to like here in accessibility for most things. Like internet is such a broad spectrum. Like yes, it would suck, but you could live without it. I just feel like most people have come to the point, like I would probably say I couldn't live without like electricity. Like that's more of a broader thing, because without electricity, I couldn't read a book unless it was daytime out, kind of thing.
By candlelight.
By candlelight. Yeah. Like, oh boy. Like, and then you get wax on your book and then you're like, I need a new book. Yeah. So I'm just saying more accessibility. Like, I hate to be that person who's like, I can't live without the internet. Like it makes me sound such like a, like I might as well be 12,
Yeah.
But I absolutely agree. Like I could probably live without my phone. Like I could, like, I don't care for it. Like it's made it easier and me more accessible to others. But I grew up poor, and I didn't get my first cell phone till I was after junior high school. I think I got my first cell phone. I think it was even junior year, where kids nowadays, they're getting cell phones when they're like in third grade. Like it's that crazy. So, and then, cell phones weren't a big mainstream during your days. So
not as much. No, I remember getting mine in high school.
Yeah. So it's weird that like, even though we're a little bit far away in age, that I still didn't get a real cell phone till high school, maybe even after high school. I think maybe when I got my first job I got a cell phone.
Mine was in high school, and I remember that just because I remember my mom one time, the whole like threat of stuff, and it was like, well, I can take your cell phone away. I was like, unless you're going to pay my bill, you're not.
Yeah. I remember that was the argument with my older brother, was when he started paying for his own cell phone. He's like, you're not taking this away from me. I'm paying for this. Yeah. Same thing with like his iPod. Like he's like, I bought this iPod. You don't own this iPod. Yeah. I own this iPod. Even though, have you heard the argument? And I don't think you've done this with your kids because they're not insubordinate enough. But I've heard that like, if it's like if you live with someone and you don't necessarily pay rent, that the stuff you buy and is in their house, it's theirs?
No, it's not.
Like, that's why I was thinking, but not. I've actually heard someone say that to me recently. I was like, I don't think that's true. Like, if I bought my own Xbox...
There's like a deserter principle.
Yeah.
Like, if you left for like a couple of weeks and then came back or whatever, like, then basically you deserted it.
Yeah.
And they can claim it as theirs. But no, especially if they have proof. And it's like...
Yeah,
I got an email receipt from freaking Best Buy. Like, no, this is mine. Like, there's nothing you can do. The cop's going to go, it's theirs, not yours. I don't give a shit if it's in your house. If anything, we can count it as freaking theft at that point.
Yeah. And depending on everything totaled up, grand theft. But yeah. What was the question? It was, wait, is it?
Technology you could live without.
Yeah. Real quick, you gave a look. Was the look for the grand theft comment? Is it one item makes it grand theft, or is it accumulation of items?
It's a certain like amount.
No, I know it's an amount, but like, does it have to be accumulation? Like,
I mean, but unless you're living in like a mansion and have that much shit, it generally will never amount to grand theft.
yeah,
In
someone
some
rolls up-
places, it also involves a matter of like force too, kind of like grand like theft auto, like where you actually usually have some kind of force of like pulling them out or something like that.
Right. Also, hasn't there been some cases where it's like the amount you think it is, like how much it means to you? Like if someone stole like priceless heirloom
That's
photos,
bullshit. I hate that argument too. It's bullshit.
doesn't that count though? Like how much you think they're worth to you? Like not necessarily like if you get like a appraiser and they're like, yeah,
no,
they're like
not
$2.
really. Like that's all up to a judge, which is dumb. But
Oh,
how is a
okay.
judge going
So
to
it's
determine worth to somebody?
So it's more pulling at the heartstrings. Gotcha. That's what I thought. So yeah, like those are my answers. Like it could like I think electricity is like the easy go-to one. Internet is another one, but it's just because like my life revolves around a lot of that. But I still don't take that for granted. I still read books physically and not on like a Kindle. Um, but technology I could live without. I don't know. Do you have answers?
Well, I told you. Without phone.
Yeah. What about the other one? The you can't live without.
Like I said, indoor plumbing would be my answer.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
I'm telling you, indoor plumbing would suck.
That would suck. God. And I feel like it would be costly. Like if you had to like get a porta potty and then you had to like call someone to empty said porta potty like every week. Oh,
Yeah.
that would suck. Yeah, that's a good answer. Fuck. Ugh. Man. Canned air. I could live without canned air. There you go. There's my answer. I've never really used canned air before. I know you do, but you also have like a computer, but I don't even use them on like my consoles. I honestly, I probably use canned air more of as like a malicious thing than anything else. Like go up behind someone and just go, whoosh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, canned air. Definitely, that's my answer. Definitely not because it's right there in front of me and I just saw it. So, next question.
Yeah.
Do you have a question for me?
No.
Weird. Okay. If you had the opportunity, what superhero would you don? Like, for example, like if Tony Stark came up to your door and was like, "Here's an Iron Man suit," and he just gave you an Iron Man suit, what superhero would you like take up the persona? Like,
like if they were just like, hey, I have the ability to transfer all my powers. I have the ability to do that.
yeah, like my example was more like if Tony Stark was like, "Hey, I'm going off to Fiji for the weekend. Can you just be Iron Man in my place?" Like, and he gave you a suit, or like if you got like a Green Lantern ring kind of thing. But yeah, basically like if you could be like Superman, if you could be, Thor, like if you could pick up Mjolnir, like what would that superhero, like what would be cool to experience with that superhero?
God. So it goes to 2 for me. Like out of nostalgia, my favorite. Fucking Iron Man.
Iron Man.
I would love to don on Iron Man.
You would love to have an Iron Man suit.
Oh my God.
You would wear
It
that.
actually pisses me off we don't have a millionaire right now building one. Like,
They're getting close, but yeah.
I don't even think millionaires are doing. I think governments are trying.
No, there's governments are, and also there are some millionaires that are trying to make a functional.
I don't
thing.
believe you.
No, it is true.
I don't believe you.
I've read. But yes, like
believe
I could easily, as your friend, I could easily see you just wearing an Iron Man suit just for everyday thing. Like you could be going to the grocery store, you could have the visor up, and you're just pushing a cart, and then you're like, "Man, I really need that off the top shelf,"
Oh
and
my
then
God.
you just
God, it would be amazing to go into a place and they're like, you need a mask. I'm like, like fine, jackass.
That would be great. Yeah, like I could see you just constantly wearing that Iron Man suit, and then when you're like going to bed, it just the canopy opens and you just walk out and you just leave it there, and then when you wake up, you just like you walk past
I would
it
do
to
it for
piss.
stupid things just to literally like fuck with people. Where I would love to like have like an Iron Man just like sitting over there in the corner, and it's like, hey guys, I really gotta stop and take a piss, and then just walk over, get into it, and then get out like 30 seconds later and just be like, done guys, we're good.
like you're putting on your shoes just to take off your shoes just to sit down. Like it's just so unnecessary. But like I could totally see you like not even being in the Iron Man suit, and then like you're opening up a jar and you're like, God damn it, and then you just go like this and a glove attaches, and then you're like, Kshing! And you even break it with glass.
Yeah, break the glass off. Yeah.
But like I could totally see that. Like you would totally misuse an Iron Man suit.
I absolutely would. Actual like fun experience to like deal with things, and I think Green Lantern.
Green Lantern would be
because you
good.
could go anywhere at that point.
Oh yeah.
You could do anything, and then not only that, like I know the way your mind works and mine. We'd have some fun with that because it's all based off of what you think.
Mm-hmm. We would have some fun.
Yeah.
Like I would have simple things like opening up like would you like a can of peanuts? And then you would open it up and then fucking snakes pop out. Like I would have that kind of fun. But like, have you seen the picture of like it's Green Lantern going up behind Superman, and he's just like, hey, check this out, and it looks like kryptonite, and it was just because he thought like he envisioned kryptonite, and so Superman just freaks out. He's like, oh god. So like that's the kind of stuff I would absolutely do with Green Lantern's ring. Like I think that's what I would also pick is Green Lantern, just for that, because you could like go to space and be fine. You could go underwater and be fine. You could also like have everyday stuff. Like you could go to like your kids like children's fair and just be like, hey, who wants to ride on this Ferris wheel? Hey, all of a sudden this Ferris wheel is now a fucking roller coaster. Like that's awesome. Like, yeah, I think that would be a good choice. But yeah, we would absolutely also use it for evil.
Yeah, we use and abuse that shit.
Yeah, like I would trip you all the time.
Like, honestly, I literally thought, because you were like, yeah, you know, I could do like the can of blah, 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 and the snake's popping out. And I'm like, I would wake you up by putting a giraffe's like head through your window. Just like, hey, Mike, it's Thanksgiving. Like, just screwing with you.
Oh, God. I would love that. I would love that up until like the 10th time you did that. I would be like, fucking Brad, get out of here. But yeah, I was thinking like I would trip you, but not like I use my ring to like have like tie your shoelaces together. No, I would straight up just like make another person who's like all on all fours behind you, and then I push you over. like we aren't even doing it in practical ways. We are truly like doing it in overusing ways, you know? Oh God. You would also be super lazy with it. You would be like, man, I need a fucking Mountain Dew. And then you would just be like, shing, and then it would just go over, grab a Mountain Dew. It's like when you train your dog to grab a beer and close a fridge door.
Yeah. Why haven't you learned that?
Which eventually. Also, what did you do to the carpet, bud? What did you do to the rug?
Yeah.
His feet are cold. It's just right underneath. But yeah, I you know what I would do with the fucking Green Lantern ring? I would fucking make it look like there was a Mountain Dew there, and you would go to grab it, and it would just like a hologram, like fuck, like I would just constantly. So I think Green Lantern was the right answer.
Yeah.
But goddamn it, you would have so much fun as Iron Man.
This would be amazing.
Just like every mundane thing, like going to the grocery store, man, or like setting up your kids like prom night, and you have to like raise up a banner, and you're just like, psh, and then you pin up against the wall. That would be fun. But yeah, all right, good answer. All right. What do you have faith in? This was a little bit more of a serious one.
Serious. Super serious. Super serious.
Superman. For the longest time for me, while you think of the answer, for the longest time for me, I've always kept faith in people. And I know, it's such a funny answer. But as a kid, I had so much faith in people, people around me, people who just did their jobs, superheroes, not to be, so like heavy set on this episode of superheroes, but I had faith in people. But you know what's weird? As I grew up, more and more, I stopped having faith in people. And I that's why, you see posts of, my faith in humanity restored. And that's the kind of shit that, makes me, go, yeah. But then I also see, reports of, a stepfather, molests child who was 12 and then killed her and stabbed her, 17 times and stuff like that. And I'm just fucking burn the world.
Yeah.
So, for me growing up, it was faith in humanity. And honestly, I don't know what I have faith in anymore. I've never been religious. I've never had faith in an overall, God, orchestrating stuff. And honestly, losing faith in people, I still have faith in some individuals and stuff like that. But I don't know what I have faith in anymore. And so this is why I came up with this question was what do you have faith in?
It's a hard question because I'm not super religious myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own beliefs in what I think religion is.
Yes.
And so there is a little bit of, I guess, faith into that aspect, but not a whole lot. I honestly have more faith that those that I love and those that have loved me are still watching over me. Like my grandma. I have more faith in that than I do some overarching religious type thing.
Right.
I think the only thing that I truly have true a faith or whatever is it's more like a belief in that, which is I have a stronger belief of if you have faith in yourself, you're able to do almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lose that, you lose yourself.
Gotcha.
So self-confidence is key. Flat out. You can't just doubt yourself or you'll get nothing done. Which is honestly why I hate 90% of what I read on Reddit, because most of them are just freaking idiots that are like, I can't believe in anything and blah, blah, blah. And it's and they blame everything on everybody else's problems. And it's do you ever stop and wonder if it's you?
Ooh. Fucking real talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just fix yourself, all these other problems don't matter.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
But I don't have any overarching big beliefs.
Yeah.
That guide me.
Yeah, you don't believe the faith of the system kind of thing. You don't think you don't put faith in the government, you don't put faith in religion, but you do have
I don't even have a whole lot of faith in science at this point. Because at this point it's all based off of what study I believe. So
yeah,
it's I believe this one study, so I will ignore those completely. And that happens on both sides, where it's I'm anti-vaxxer because I read this one study, and it's well, actually vaccines do a lot of good. And well, I won't read those. And it's well, you're an idiot. And then you also have people on the other side that are also that way with frickin' climate change. Both sides of it, where it's I don't believe in it, I do believe in it, and this is the end all be all. And it's well, there's other studies on both sides that counteract, and you need both of that, but we ignore that completely. As a society, you only read what you believe. So I don't even have that much faith in science because nobody actually reads both sides of science anymore.
Right. There was it depends on what hypotenuse you want to believe in plus whatever like helps back your claim.
Well, not only that, yeah, I think it's more we don't use the scientific method.
Mm-hmm.
We come up with a hypotenuse. We come up with a study to prove that hypotenuse. And if it doesn't, we just change it to fit whatever it is that we're trying to match. And that's all we go to instead of like, oh, I have this hypothesis, and then we test it. It doesn't work. Okay, we'll try another test. It doesn't work. I need to change my hypothesis because obviously I was wrong.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
I mean, honestly, so two things. One of them, have you ever seen the movie Theory of Everything? It's about Stephen Hawking. So it was, I really enjoyed the movie. And one of the things that happened in that is that like, he's obviously like, I think it's Oxford he's going to. And so he obviously like writes his dissertation or whatever report to kind of like help him get into Oxford or whatever college or university. And one of the things is like he has this whole hypothesis on like of something, and then which gets him into the university, and then he's like, you know what? I think I'm wrong, and he actually counteracts his own hypothesis with another one, and that turns into the Big Bang Theory or something like that. Like I haven't seen the movie since it came out in like 2015, but that was basically it. Was he came up with one idea, and then he's like, you know what? My idea was kind of actually garbage. I think it's actually this, and that's the thing that like he's known for.
Yeah.
And it just kind of turned, because I think it was literally like his hypothesis was that the world was actually shrinking, and then he was like, and people like the professors were like, "That's fucking genius! Like you're awesome, and you know
But he
not
found
paralyzed."
out it's expanding instead.
By the way, I don't know if you heard me.
I did. I was gonna let it slide.
It just made me laugh because I was like, "Did I just like was that under the radar?" I should have said that, but anyway, yeah. And then his other hypothesis was that he was wrong and that it was actually expanding.
Yeah,
and so it was just one of those things. So again, like that's one thing that like science is kind of a guessing game sometimes. But also, I always bring this up, which is there's reports that scientists say that egg whites are bad, and then they go egg whites are good, and then the yolk is bad, and then the yolk is good, and then hey, only eat eggs at like 2 a.m. are good for you, but eggs at 6 are bad, you know, kind of thing. So like, there's just constantly stuff. Like I grew up.
Actually, they're good from yellow chickens. Oh, actually, they're only good from white chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there yellow chickens? What the fuck are you talking about? Yellow chickens? You mean chicks? You mean baby chickens? Is that what you're talking about, or am I wrong? Is there yellow chickens somewhere? Like I'm very confused because I've only seen white chickens. Well, or not necessarily. I've seen like different patterned chickens, but I've never seen a yellow chicken other than a chick. So are you talking about a chick, or is there yellow chickens?
I love how you're questioning me, and I am colorblind. Like,
I would like to think you know the difference, but
how would I know?
That's fair. Oh my gosh, that's funny. I didn't even think about that. I'm just glad you didn't say like, hey, eggs from roosters are bad and only eat eggs from white chickens. Like
the milk from cows is bad. No, actually, the milk from bulls are bad.
I would argue milk from bulls are bad. I would no, thank you. No, it's a bit strange. But yeah, so it's just one of those things that like scientists do get things wrong, but they also like they do get most things right, like vaccines kind of stuff. But it's just sometimes you get those people who are like, yeah, like coffee stunts your growth. No, it doesn't. Like it always just boggles my mind. But yeah, like faith in science, I could definitely see for you that you've lost that because there's so many people that just taint it.
Yeah.
So, I was thinking, by the way, faith in friendships is probably the thing that I probably rely on the most. I think it's more of like funneling in instead of faith in humanity or in people, I'm segregating it to one group or one individual, which is friendship. Because like friendship between us is really good. Hey, Corona. And then like, there's my friend group that I always hang out with, and like I don't think there's a single friend that is in my friend group that I will say will like betray me or will like not put me before them, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't think of anybody in my friend group that does that, because I funneled all the negative people out of my life, and I am strictly like just on the good people that I literally just want to spend the rest of my life with and grow old and die with these friends by my side. So I would probably say friendship is probably what I have the most faith in. Friends and family, I would say. I know I just added the family section of that, but like that's truly it, is friends and family.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to add on?
No, I think that's about good.
So I'm glad. Are you liking these questions I've come up with for you? Thank you, buddy.
They're actually pretty good. Actually pretty good.
Thanks, man. I spent like
I was honestly expecting more like
the Hitler mustache thing.
Well, yeah, but also like when we had discussions of like another thing that we will eventually come out with. But it like it was like, we're going to come up with crazy questions. Like if you were stuck on a deserted island, what is the one thing that you would do? That type of stuff, like just crazy off the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah.
I thought it was going to be more questions like that.
What color would you eat?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Ooh, you know what? Let's do this one. How do you feel about the creator of something remaking that thing and changing the story of it? For example, right, is Final Fantasy VII remake is different from the actual Final Fantasy game, but they called it a remake, but they changed a lot of it. Another example. Now I know that I'm guessing the main guy who like came up with the concept of Final Fantasy VII wasn't actually that involved with the remake. Do you know if he was or if they were?
I mean, a lot of the original is still in there. I think one of the major ones isn't, but that's also because he's no longer just like, hey, I'm not a game designer. He's like literally president of the company.
Gotcha.
So I'm pretty sure he didn't just be like, hey, secretary, why don't you take my job for a week? I'm going to go down and help create. Like,
right. So the main reason I thought about this and why I want to ask you was because I thought of the Final Fantasy stuff, but then I was more interested in, say, like J.K. Rowling or Robert Kirkman, right? So like Robert Kirkman wrote The Walking Dead, and then he helped facilitate making The Walking Dead into a live action thing. And that right there, The Walking Dead has completely just split off into its own thing and has really just went away from the comics. But recently, so I read a lot of the Invincible series, which is also by Robert Kirkman, and they just came out with a animated show of that, and they are changing slightly different things. But one of the things I noticed for the first episode was it said it was written by Robert Kirkman. So he specifically had to change some of the stuff from the first like issues that he was working with into the first episode of the show. Like, because that comic book you could pretty much do shot for shot, I think, but he didn't. And so are you okay with, in order to adapt something into something else, are you okay with them changing it? Or if he were to come out with another Invincible comic or whatever, and it was slightly different, like he was able to tell the same story, but it was just slightly different, like, do you think that's okay? Like, what are your feelings and thoughts about that one?
So I actually have generally no problem with like the creators changing or whatever else. I think it becomes a bigger issue if they're just like, hey, I established this story, you know, blah, blah, blah. But now this is canon. The other stuff wasn't.
Right.
I think that's actually a bigger issue because then you've like basically shattered the expectations of the fans that have sat there and like watched or dealt with it for the last 5, 10, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're like, no, that was actually all wrong. Actually, this is the truth. I think that's a bigger issue than just being like, hey, I wrote this book, so I'm going to make a movie. I'm going to change it in the movie.
So
Because number one, it's the same thing like with games or whatever. It's like there's a huge time difference between reading a 20-hour book and watching a 2-hour movie. Like there's obviously got to be some things changed, whatever else, to get your idea across. It's a different medium.
Right.
And I completely get that. So like even like in the example of Final Fantasy VII, I do not mind that they're changing it. I think I would have a big issue if they were just like, oh yeah, actually the events of Final Fantasy VII, the original, don't actually matter. This is actually the true story. The other one was like a fever dream.
Yeah.
Like that's not actually what's kind of happening. And it actually kind of irritates me because it almost seems like that's kind of the way they're going with it.
So,
but you can change your own story. The other thing is, as a fan, and this is the thing that needs, I think, to be spread out more, like within fans, but fans are dumb and they're tribal and they're bullshit. And so they think my way's the only way instead of just going, hey, I don't like this. I'm just not going to watch the movie.
right. It's kind of like my argument with Indiana Jones is that if you don't want it to be part of the story, then you don't have to have it be part of the story. So say I didn't like the second movie of Indiana Jones, I could just be like, 1 and 3 are the only, like, in my mind, the only canon stories. Luckily, I do enjoy 1, 2, and 3. It's the fourth one that I don't care about, so
Crystal.
I just whoop.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with like Harry Potter. Like you could just like there's just a gray area where you're just like going from like year 2 of Harry Potter to year 4, and you're just like, yeah, I don't know what happened in year 3, but I make my own story for that.
Year 3 was great. It was year 2 that sucked. Okay, thank you.
You're right about that. But
so
yeah.
J.K. Rowling, I think she screwed herself because she did randomly do stuff that now is biting her in the ass.
Right.
She is getting so much flack because of stuff she said because of trans
After
rights
the
and
fact.
everything else. But she brought it onto herself by halfway through just being like, oh yeah, Dumbledore's gay and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, if you're not explicitly saying something,
Yeah.
you can't just bring it up after the fact and then just, you're retconning it in.
Yeah. I think retconning is the most like, ugh.
Yeah.
Because
they did it with freaking all the new Star Wars movies,
I was just about to talk about Star Wars, kind of like, because what you were saying, like, I don't care if, you know, a creator wants to like change something but they shouldn't like basically make everything else like bleh
null and void
about it. Yeah, null and void about it. So for example, of like there is fucking so many different pieces of media with Star Wars, between movies, TV shows, books, fucking fan guides and video games, and they were just like,
they went back and said a lot of that's just not canon anymore.
Yeah, all of the books are just not canon. And I'm just like, but you have some really cool characters. And so what they were doing was they picked and choose what they liked from the books and they added it into the into the fandom.
There's another question there with Star Wars is also like, so your question of, does the creator or whatever have like the ability to change the story? Does that also work with like within the Star Wars? So did George Lucas make those not canon, or did Disney make them not canon? Who made that decision? Because George Lucas technically is the creator.
Right. Yeah, and that's
the
also
bigger
question.
Another thing too.
Yeah, that's the bigger question, because again, like I was saying, I was watching the Invincible animated series that's on Amazon, and like I said, there was stuff that like it's almost shot for shot. No, not even kidding. It's almost shot for shot, but there was different things like in the comic book. They don't introduce the Guardians of the Globe right away. In the show, they almost introduce them very first scene. Basically, like they're at the White House and the Mahler twins are walking in. You don't see the Mahler twins till like issue like 3 or something like that, fighting Invincible. But in this, the Mahler twins are fighting the Guardians of the Globe, and so you get to see the Guardians of the Globe, which, in all fairness, I think did a little bit better of a job. But that's what's great about it, is I could be a fan of the show and also a fan of the comic books and have those completely separate and just be glad that I'm excited to see this coming up on the big screen, because one of the things was there was talks of making this live action also, like after the fact.
So I do have to say, I think there is an ease with certain fandoms or certain fans of genres that are more easily adaptable. Comics and anime are way more easily adaptable to being like, oh yeah, I can agree with either one of this, or just being like, well, I only really watch that, so I don't really care what that says. Like, I know a ton of people that will do that with anime, where they'll be like, oh yeah, I like that. Or it's like, well, that's not what it says in the manga. And it's like, well, I've never read it, so I don't know about that. I'm only talking about this story. Comic books have it super easy because they have the choice of just being like, no, that's Earth 2.
Yeah.
That one's Earth 396. Like,
yeah.
So they have that cognitive dissonance to like separate those, where instead you have certain very toxic fandoms like Star Wars, like Harry Potter, where unless it's explicitly told or that's what they automatically believe, now you're going to get shit on by the entire community because they're not willing to change their viewpoint. And it doesn't matter if it's J.K. Rowling or George Lucas that changes it or somebody else. They do not care. They cannot adapt to change. So I think it also matters on what media or whatever, and if you're used to that. Right. So we're a little bit more used to that just because, you know, you paid a lot of attention to like different comics and graphic novels. I've dealt with a lot of anime and some comics and that. So I think we're easier to adapt to that change than some other people are.
Do you, another side question, do you like stories that like get expanded on where it hasn't been expanded on before? So for example, like Watchmen, right? Like there's the comic books Watchmen, and then there was the movie that adapted from the comic books, and then there was a TV show that showed the after effects of the comic books. But the guy who wrote the comic book did not give his blessing to this show. Like he was like, I haven't even watched the episode and I hate it. I hate what you did to the thing I created. Are you okay with stuff like that, even if it didn't get like the backing from the original creator?
Yes and no. I almost feel like there should be a bigger disclaimer on there.
Okay.
Like maybe, you know, because I watched the Watchmen show and I actually really enjoy it. If the creator doesn't agree, why don't they just put a disclaimer on there? Like kind of like they do at the beginning of movies where it's like the views and opinions expressed by the DVD extras do not like the values and opinions of whatever. They could do the same thing and just be like, the events and portrayals of this show do not reflect the initial intent of the creator.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I would love...
I mean, in general, it's nice to... Because there's a lot of stories that like fans have created or other people that love that series. They've come up with different timelines or storylines or whatever else that are amazing. And it's nice to hear those different things.
I mean, just the fan theories alone. What are you talking about?
Growling at.
Stop it.
But I mean, I think it's good to actually hear and see some of those different things.
Yeah,
those different ideas. So I'm okay with it, but I think if the creator gives like hey, I don't back this, maybe they should put like just a minor disclaimer or something that's just like, hey, yeah, it's not exactly the view that the creator had.
Right. Like I would love for the Watchmen series to straight up just like at the beginning of the show, just straight up just like almost kind of like a fuck you to the creator. Like like, hey, we still made this and people still fucking loved it, but just for the disclaimer that says Alan Moore does not approve of this. Like, that would be hilarious for me. Because Alan Moore is a crotchety old man about stuff like that. But I feel like I want to say he gave his blessing for the movie, the Zack Snyder movie, but he did not for the continuation and their own interpretation to the show.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of interesting. But then again, there was also comics that were coming out, and I don't think Alan Moore had anything to do with it. Also, I really hope I'm right on the name because that would be embarrassing. But because I think there was,
Well, if not, he'll be really upset.
so there was two different things that happened with the comics. There was before Watchmen, which was kind of like before the events of the actual graphic novel, where it was more of backstory filler of like Hooded Justice, right? Like in the show, they gave you backstory of Hood Justice. I don't think that was the backstory that they gave in the comics, but they wrote it to kind of help the storyline along with the show. So it was kind of one of those things. But then because DC owns the rights to Watchmen, DC started to do this thing called Doomsday Clock, which integrated characters from Watchmen and DC characters coming together. So you had like Dr. Manhattan fighting Superman. So again, it's one of those things that like, I wonder if Alan Moore gave his blessing for that kind of stuff, or if he's just like, whatever, you guys are, I'm almost dead.
Yeah.
Like, what do I care, I guess? But he was just really uppity about the show, if I remember right.
I mean, the other question is also like this same argument. It's hard to quantify, especially since nobody lives forever. Mm-hmm. So Stan Lee is not with us anymore. So if somebody changes one of his characters and their storyline, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's not like you can get his explicit consent.
Yeah.
So I think, but once again, this also falls along a genre that's more used to just being like, oh yeah, that doesn't fall within this timeline. This is a different universe. This is a different multiverse. So like, we're a little bit more okay with that.
Yeah.
Compared to other media. So I don't know.
So here's another question. I don't know if it really fits with what we've been talking about, but have you heard about what's happening with James Dean? So do you know who James Dean is?
Yeah.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, he's an actor. He was really like an up and coming actor that was going to be like, he was going to be like the next Marlon Brando kind of actor, but he died.
Yeah.
And he's only been in like 3 movies, something like that. I don't know if you've heard about this, but they are actually going to try to, in a movie, CGI James Dean in a leading role of a movie. Have you not heard about this?
No.
I'll have to look it up a little bit more, but like Chris Evans came out and was like, I do not approve of this. But basically,
of course he doesn't, because it's an easy way for him to no longer have a job.
Right. Well, it's also more of the aspect of like, would James Dean like this? Like it's weird. His family is okay with this. Like his family is like giving.
Well, I'm
people...
sure they get rights for it.
You're right about that. I wonder who gets paid out for something like that. But
it's got to be his family. It's got to be his kids or whatever.
Yeah, if he had any. But like, so James Dean. So the family gave like people a bunch of like photos, and they're also like home videos, and also obviously his works in the other movies. But they are gonna map him out, and they're gonna superimpose it like deep fake kind of thing into a movie, and it's gonna be a live action movie, and it's supposed to be a World War II movie, if I'm not mistaken, like D-Day kind of thing. I think so. It's something weird like that. Like I remember reading about this last year, but I actually haven't heard anything since then. So I kind of wonder where the movie project is in.
It does sound like this is a horrible idea that they should not be going for. Like, I understand their kind of intent in that, And in some instances, I can see where it becomes not that bad of a thing, but they're going to go down a dangerous road that Hollywood just does not give a shit about because they
and overuse it.
Yeah, because Hollywood cares about one thing, and that's money. They give two shits about anything else. So you can think they've already kind of done this stuff. You look at what was it?
Furious 7.
Well, not only that, but I was thinking also the Star Wars movie. God dang it.
Oh, you're talking about with like Leia.
Yeah, what was it? Rogue One? No.
Well, there was Rogue One where they like de-aged.
Yeah.
They de-aged Princess Leia, and then also
Emperor Palpatine though, too, wasn't it?
No, I mean, kind of. He was still alive though, or like the actor who played Palpatine in 4, 5, and 6, or I guess he wasn't really in 4. But anyway, the actor who played Palpatine in the original trilogy, is the same actor who played him in 1 through 3.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm pretty sure it was more of a just adding them in, and they also did like the Leia thing, and I understand those for kind of that type of a thing. Paul Walker, same thing. Like I get it.
Yeah,
but what's to stop them from 30 years from now going, you know what really made a lot of money? Fucking Harry Potter made us buttloads of money. What if we, hear me out, J.K. Rowling gave up all of her like copyright to us. We just make 7 more movies. And we just basically deep fake frickin' Daniel Radcliffe or whatever right back into that role as like a teenager like the next year. Like
right.
And just continue that on. Or, hey, I mean, Arnold's not with us anymore, but we want to make 5,000 more Terminator movies. So they don't care. They only care about money. If they find that one thing that's good, like, hey, because we're not actually paying for him to be in here, we can just pay the family a bit of money, or we can pay him a little bit less because we actually own the property. Robert Downey Jr., you're Iron Man again. Like, that's... They don't care. They're going to go to a bad place. This is not a thing that they need to do. It's not going to be good for fans, and it's not going to be good for the storylines themselves. I feel like they're just going to milk certain series over and over and over again, and they're going to use it to screw over the families or the actors themselves. Eventually, this is not a place that I want them to go.
Right. So a couple of questions. So have you seen the deepfake of Back to the Future?
No.
So I don't know if you know this, but Back to the Future is a movie that the 3 movies. There's a stipulation with those 3 movies that it can never be remade. The guy who wrote and directed them is the sole owner of the property, and he has a very specific speculation of it cannot be remade whatsoever.
Okay.
Another one of those is Catcher in the Rye, the book. Salinger, the guy who wrote it, he like as he was, or before he died, he was like, this book can never be adapted into a movie. So like those things are stipulations, right? Now, deepfake came out, and you could basically superimpose whatever you want on whoever you want, basically, and so. Someone took a scene from Back to the Future, and they put Tom Holland's face on Michael J. Fox's body, and they put Robert Downey Jr. on Christopher Lloyd's Doc Brown's body, and it was basically Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland in Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And honestly, it looked pretty good. Like, I would absolutely watch
I hear
that.
the best one is actually there's a Tom Cruise deepfake that's apparently amazing.
Tom Cruise on what?
I don't know. I think it's just literally him talking.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
but that's not really against anything. Like, that's no worse than somebody making a meme right now. Because I don't even know if I'd really call that a deep fake. More of that's an editing type of a thing.
Yeah, edited.
But a deep fake would be more that scene or whatever, but them saying something different. Like, you're changing Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox's
dialogue
mouths
from it
and their dialogue to match.
Yeah.
But they're also not recreating the whole film. They're just doing a scene, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a different type thing. But yeah, I don't like where they're going with this James Dean thing if they want to add him into a full movie. I understand why Chris Evans is pissed. I feel like he's probably more looking at it as in my career now than a long-term thing, because honestly, it's an easy way just to get him out and like not have to pay him as much money, and you can just add in whatever actor you'd like.
So I think Chris Evans was basically like, yeah, like obviously his career and stuff, but I think it was more of the fact of it was like how it would impact the industry, kind of like what you're saying.
Okay, well then that's a better argument. It's just
but
with an actor, it is a little bit like closer to home.
yeah.
So I feel like there would be a little bit more emotions to the closer to home than
Well, it was
what
actually,
it would do to the industry.
I think it was a little bit weirder where Chris Evans was like, it's disrespectful to James Dean, but his family is backing it, and
It's
so
not disrespectful to James Dean.
well, I mean, James Dean doesn't really have a say in it.
It's still not
just
disrespectful,
It's
though.
just his family. Like, what happens if like Marlon Brando was just like, nah, I don't want like what about actors who like quit acting and then their likenesses are getting used? Like Christopher Plummer is all of a sudden.
Yeah, but unless they explicitly say, I never want to be in another movie again, it's more like an homage. Like,
Right.
It's not disrespectful. You're actually paying them homage to what they've done.
Okay.
I mean, he's completely wrong with that. Like, to me, that's more of his own. Like I said, it's too close to home for him. So he's coming up with an emotional argument on why it's bad.
Well,
and it's not really that bad. It's not disrespecting James Dean unless it's literally a 2-hour movie of him just saying the N-word. Like, then okay, cool. Now it's disrespectful, but because you're turning him into somebody that he's not. But just using him in an actor's role, basically, but
Right.
you're just doing that, it's not disrespectful. Chris Evans would be completely wrong in that aspect.
I in all fairness, I don't remember if he said that or not. I'm just like, if anything, that's more my point of view is that it's disrespectful. But I mean, then again, it could be disrespectful to the industry, kind of like what you were saying. My other question would be like, what about like fan casting? Like if they would you be okay with this if they did it for like, I think you already made the argument for it, but like basically like Robert Downey Jr., like he was such a great Iron Man, like just continuing his role in that. But like, what happens if like they casted someone in a role and you're just like, man, I don't see him being that person?
Then you change him. Like I don't see. There is no argument to me that you can make to do this, because at that same point, does that now mean they should have the ability to remake Iron Man and change Rhodey to Don Cheadle?
Gotcha.
No, they just changed the role. Okay, you have the first movie, and it's a different actor. That's all it is. You recast it. Like,
Gotcha.
I don't see the difference in this.
So what about like what about likenesses and shot for shot scenes? So likenesses, for example, like in Terminator Salvation with Christian Bale, they had like prosthetics or whatever to make the Terminator look like Arnold, but it wasn't actually Arnold. You know what I mean? Like they used whatever like
They also got
CGI.
his explicit consent.
Did they?
Yes.
Okay. So, and then my other thing was, what about like shot for shot remakes? For example, is Disaster Artist, where they had James Franco playing Tommy Wiseau, and at the end of the movie, they showed like side by side clips of the actual movie, and then them recreating that. Would you be okay with something like Disaster Artist if they had the same cast, but they basically make The Room, but with like a high priority cast of James Franco, Seth Rogen, stuff like that, Dave Franco and stuff? Like, what about shot for shot?
I mean, does that? Yeah, I don't think that matters. It's still a new movie.
Okay.
I mean, as long as you're not deleting the old movie.
Okay.
What's the big deal?
Yeah, I
mean-
guess if you could still go back to The Room if you really want to, I guess.
I mean, as everyone should.
We should get pictures of spoons to put up. But okay, so overall, like we kind of went down a different
rabbit hole, yeah.
a different path. But basically, like you're okay if creators change stuff as long as they don't like just shit on the original.
Yeah, I think retconning's a bigger kind of issue, but in general, I mean, it was their work. They have the ability to change what they want to change.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like I would if they came out with, so like there's fucking 12 issues or thick graphic novels that I have of Invincible. Honestly, if he came out and like, because I mean, you were with me when I was writing my screenplays and stuff. Like, how many times was I like, this was a great idea, but doesn't really fit in the story how I have it? Where like I could rewrite my story to fit in the stuff that I liked. It just changes the story, but essentially I have two different versions of it. So like, if he remade Invincible, but like all of a sudden, I don't know, Mark doesn't get his powers, right away, and it's more of that, like I would be all right with that, because I could always go back to the original. So, okay. Good. Next question?
Sure.
Do you have a question for me?
I don't.
Okay. Ooh, you know what? We'll do two questions. So this one and one more. What's the thing that makes you most mad? Like, just makes you just fucking just searing with rage. What is something that makes you mad? Like, I've been on the phone, you've been on the phone with me with my road rage. I've been equally...
People driving is like almost number one. It's almost like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And you're right there with me.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know how many times it's like, oh my,
Utah.
turn, you idiot. You're just like on the phone and you're just like yelling at somebody.
Like, I wouldn't say I have bad road rage, but people just bring it out of me.
Oh.
It's just annoying that there's people that don't know how to drive and drive properly. Like, I don't have bad enough road rage where like I will follow the person and beat the shit out of them, but I have enough road rage where I'm just like, I could fucking just ram my car into the ass of yours.
There's so many times I wish it was legal that you were able to hit people that were just like idiots on the road.
Well,
especially when I had my truck. Man, I don't know how many times I just wanted to just go boom and you're done.
Yeah. Well, even more so, like, it's not road rage like you're driving slow and I'm behind you. It's stuff that I see, like a fucking BMW passing everyone on the freeway and are cutting in and out and in and out. That pisses me off. I wish I could be like a vigilante and just like follow him home and write him like a citation. Like you're a fucking dickhead and you own a BMW. But yeah, road
rage is up there.
It's weird. That wasn't even the answer I was going to go with, but then you just said road rage and it just triggered me. So I honestly, I don't know if we could really even talk anymore about that.
I mean, besides road rage, it's just stupidity in general.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people I have to deal with at work or whatever else, and they cannot catch on at all.
Yeah.
Like the simplest things are too hard for them to grasp.
Right.
Yeah, some of this, like, there's one person right now that's right there. He does it like every day. Maybe I'll have to tell you some stories afterwards because I probably should not.
It's probably best. If you want, we could move to a different question. But yeah, it's fucking stupid people, man.
Yeah,
they get me. So, also, I may actually do two more questions still.
That one went pretty fast.
Yeah. What's one of the great Greek punishments you would do? Like, for example, like Prometheus chained to a rock and has a vulture eating out his liver. Or there's what is this? Well, I'm gonna butcher the name. Sisyphus. Sisyphus, the guy who pushes up the boulder every day. Like, he pushes up the boulder and then it just rolls back down and he has to push up the boulder again. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
But yeah, just one of the great Greek like punishments. Like, Prometheus stole fire to give to humans, and so he was chained to a rock and had a vulture eat him. Or there's Atlas holding up the world, literally. So like, what's a Greek punishment that you think you could do all of the rest of your life?
I don't know. Honestly, I'd have to like look up some different Greek punishments. I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell you a few, but there's a lot that I can't just like verbally say, like King. Well, there's King Midas. King Midas, Golden Touch. Like, you could probably live with that. You just have to like
So
Zoolander, like the hand model. You know who I'm talking about?
King Midas that's an odd one, especially depending on what version you're ever like looking at, because it's either a pure death sentence or whatever else.
Right.
Like whenever you get it, like if it touches your tongue, does it turn to gold?
Yeah.
Because at that point you can't eat anything and you're gonna die.
Yeah, or that, or if you like pee.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. Like if you're eating food, like even if you have a servant, like say if you were to feed me like a piece of steak, right? If once it touches me, does it turn? Or if I touch the food, does it turn?
Yeah. Does it have to be skin? So
Yeah.
like if it touches your lips, it turns, but if it just makes it into your mouth without touching your lips,
You have to baby bird it. Don't look at me like you're about to baby bird anything into my mouth. Back up. But yeah, so I would just say it's more of like it's just your touch. Like it doesn't like if I touch my own ear, my ear doesn't turn to gold. It's literally like if I touch this microphone, it turns to gold. Or if I picked up this water bottle, the water bottle turns to gold, but the water doesn't.
Yeah.
But so like I couldn't necessarily like feed myself unless I ate with a golden fork kind of thing. So I would say it's more of that one.
I mean, technically you could feed yourself because under that pretext, if you can touch your water bottle but the water doesn't turn, then technically you could touch the fork and the food won't turn.
You touch the water and it's like paper, like golden paper, like a filament kind of thing. So I guess this answer can go kind of not applicable. Applicable. Like, I guess we could answer this some other time. We could do some research, but those are the ones that like I thought of: Prometheus, Atlas, King Midas. There's several ones. Like, I mean, fuck. There's ones where you just straight up turn into a fucking minotaur.
Yeah.
Dude, you would look so funny as a minotaur.
You have like friggin' like Medusa and that.
Yeah. So I guess we could do some more research. We'll leave this unanswered, but for me it would be Atlas for sure.
Holding up the world.
Oh, I'd be so ripped. Oh, I'm a big boy. All right, so one more.
Yeah.
All right, so you are very handy as a person. You are very you are great at building stuff, right? I had this thought. Do you think, like, if you were given proper tools by yourself, do you think you could build your own log cabin?
Yes.
It's 7:00, by the way. So you think, given the proper tools, like, I'm not saying like you have to like get all of the like Neanderthal tools, like you have to have your own saw.
I get what you're saying. I think I could.
You think you could truly make your own log cabin?
So I think, especially like a log cabin, I don't think that's too hard out of my grasp. Would it take me a long time? Yes, it would.
Yes.
Now, obviously, you need some help at some point. Like, it's not like I can one man freaking lift up a log to place it on another log.
If you have
a thing.
If you have an Iron Man suit.
Yeah, I mean, if I did have an Iron Man suit, proper tools here we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think there's actually bigger things that I think would be harder. Like, if I gave you the schematics and the tools, could you build like your own like reactor or like dam for like hydroelectric power? And at that point I'd say no. because I know my abilities.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
you would need a degree in like aeroscience.
super later. But well, I mean, if they gave you the full schematics and the knowledge in that, but the difference is, like, everything with building a cabin, I can do. Like, I can cut, I can do all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I can't do, and I know I can't do? I'm not very good at welding. Like, I can oxyacetylene weld, but I can't. I've done arc, and every single time it's like, and stuck. Damn it.
Yeah.
And stuck.
Or
like,
some TIG welding
so,
kind of.
Yeah. So there's certain things that I know are out of my grasp. Maybe I could learn them, but it's going to either take me years, months, whatever else. Like, I don't have the ability. Where a log cabin, I do. I think I would have the capability to do that. All of that's in my grasp. I could do. I think there's harder projects that I could not do from the ground up.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm thinking, like, I'm telling you, you're getting the proper equipment.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, like, your knowledge right now, do you think you could build
I
it?
think I could.
And so, like, there would, like, you could easily get, like, there's the like big machinery that like can straight up just like hook around a
tree and it just like shaves around it and cuts it and then
yeah exactly. Like, you know, I could give you those tools and you can make that, but like I'm not even getting into like, you know, can you blow your own glass to make your own glass panel windows and stuff like that? Like, I'm not going that far, but like I'm saying, like, could you make your own structure, your own layout? And I'm not even saying like moving the stuff in place, because that's
where I think I would need help with. Is obviously moving stuff. But I think just the basic tools and my own basic knowledge, I could probably build me a log cabin.
Yeah, you could like measure out where you're going to put the windows. You could measure out the door frame. You could build the door frame, you know, and you know, push it into place. Make your own door, you know. I'm not saying like you have to make your own metal for the door handles, but essentially, if I left you in the woods, you can make your own log cabin.
I do think I can. Like I said, flip side, like even a car. I don't think I could build my own car. Like, I know that's what my dad did for his first car. Like, he literally built it.
Yeah.
Like, he went down and he made basically like
a junkyard,
as he called a Falcon Torino. So he had a Ford Falcon and a Torino, and he actually just combined the two and he created basically his own like working car.
You know what? I think of the Johnny Cash song where he is working at a auto plant and he's slowly stealing parts.
Yeah.
And he's getting the car registered and he's like, it's a 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84 Chevy. like that's what I picture your dad's doing. Like, especially making the Torino. God damn it.
So I don't think I could do that. Like, I have basic knowledge for like fixing a car, you know. I can do brakes, I can, you know, I've changed out I don't know how many CV joints and steering and stuff like that, but I could not build myself up, I don't think, just like a car. Giving me the parts, just my general knowledge and all the tools I need, I probably couldn't.
Yeah, you
like,
couldn't.
I don't
make,
think
like,
I have
engine.
I don't think I have enough knowledge to place everything together like it should and make it run properly. That's where I would need somebody like my dad and just be like, hey, how do I make this work?
Yeah, like you couldn't make your own engine. You couldn't put like the steering wheel column able to hook up to the joints to make the wheels turn and stuff, and hooking up the gas tank to the proper stuff. Like,
so
that thing would explode if you did it.
But a log cabin, I do. I think I honestly probably could.
So I came up with this question. By the way, I really like going into why I came up with these questions and my reasoning for it. I really do enjoy this because I've always wanted to own my own log cabin. Like, I love the aesthetic of a log cabin. I love the idea of it. I love everything about log cabins. I love other than the shitty part of, you know, the electricity and the plumbing and stuff like that. Like, that, all of that would suck. But if I could have like a top end, like fancy as shit log cabin, like if I ever played Life, I hope you know, anytime I bought the log cabin. Yeah. I love log cabins. I came up with this question. Besides that, is I know how like handy you are with building stuff. I honestly gave it some thought. I think you could too. I think you could straight up make a log cabin if you bought your own land, and like, damn it, it may take you fucking 8 years, but you will make that house.
Yeah.
Like, you would make a log cabin easily. And honestly, I would love to see you actually do it. Like, I think that would be a great, like, thing to even document, like, pictures of, like, hey, here's a year update, here's a 2-year update, and seeing the progression of it. The only downfall, like you said, is like, you would need help, and you would actually need the, like, equipment for it. But I truly think you could do it. So yeah. All right. I think that was a good episode. I think, you know what I enjoy when we record episodes is me saying that was a good episode in the middle of the episode. So, Brad, thank you for humoring me. I think this went very well.
And here you are. You don't even ask me if I have any questions.
Do you have any questions?
I do have a question for you, Mike.
Yes.
Do you know how to follow us or how to support us in any way?
You know what? I don't. How about you tell the audience?
So you can follow us on our Facebook at Best Friends Discuss Podcast. You can listen to us pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcasts, Anchor, Spotify.
Bullfrog.
We're on, iTunes.
iHeartRadio, I think.
We are still we have quite a few episodes up on YouTube, but we're still working on fixing that and hopefully making a gaming channel here soon. And then if you want to support us on Anchor, there is actually a donate that you can do for us. And then there is also merchandise like this nice sweatshirt
but
that we
not
have
this
here.
one.
No, not that one. So, and that's going to be on teespring.com/bestfriendsdiscuss.
/store.
Well, it's store/bestfriendsdiscuss.
But you'll find us. But, well, this was great. And I still have like 10 questions left. So, and I'll probably think of more. So hopefully you could think of some questions to ask me, and you kind of get like the format of what I'm trying to do. This whole idea that I thought of, by the way, was supposed to be for your birthday, to like get the audience to know a little bit more about you, like our psyche and stuff. But this was originally supposed to be your birthday episode we were going to record. So, but it was just a more of like get to know each other and have fun and yeah. So thanks for listening. Love y'all. That's when you cut and stop the